Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Sunday, October 9th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Iowa game is in 13 days. The game against Michigan in 48 days. The game against Michigan State is one day in the past at this point, and oh boy, Michigan State was history very early in that one. I'm joined by Kevin Noon of BuckeyeHuddle.com. Kevin, this is 2 years in a row that, Michigan State, you think of Michigan State as these Mark D'Antonio teams that always give Ohio State a really tough battle, and sometimes they win and they ruin Ohio State seasons. And this is, 3 years in a row now where Ohio State has just erased Michigan State.
Yeah, they really knocked them into last week is what happened there. Think about the fact that C.J. Stroud now in 6+ quarters has thrown 12 touchdown passes against Michigan State. As I said in a lot of pieces and a lot of shows that we did this week, this is not that team for Michigan State that was in that 6-game, the 6-year window of where they traded wins. They kept winning on the opposing team's field. Michigan State, it was a depleted team in terms of its roster and was much more of the team that we had seen lose 3 straight games and now 4 straight games than the team that opened up against a couple of MAC teams and won to start off the season 2-0.
This Ohio State team, they finally got a bunch of the guys back in the defensive backfield. You saw pretty much everyone other than Jordan Hancock, I think. Denzel Burke was just sort of, you didn't notice him, which is a good thing. That's always a good thing with a corner, right? Cam Brown had moments where you did notice him. You had J.K. Johnson had a couple moments where you noticed him, but the safety play was good. The corner play was pretty good, and you're getting a little nitpicky because Michigan State threw for 113. Peyton Thorne finished 11 of 18 for 113 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 4 times. It's like they didn't the defensive backfield wasn't perfect. And if you had to nitpick something from this game, that's what you'd nitpick. But if the opposing starting quarterback throws for 113 yards, well, you're really nitpicking.
Yeah, my nitpick point would be penalties. Ohio State didn't commit a ton of them, but when they did, prolonged drives, honestly, Ohio State, leave even the C.J. Stroud pick 6 on the table at that point. If you take away the penalties, they're not scoring that touchdown that they did. You get into garbage time. Their backup quarterback Noah Kim had a touchdown in garbage time. But we're really looking for things, and Ohio State has to be better in terms of its secondary coverage, especially at corner. Ohio State has to be more disciplined in terms of penalties. But we're looking at a game where Ohio State put up 614 yards. That's 614 to you Columbusites. 614 yards of total offense. C.J. Stroud throws 6 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 touchdown receptions, including one that I still don't really understand how he caught it. It was just an all-around pretty solid game.
Yeah, and, this is another, it's a pretty solid game. And once again, C.J. Stroud has tied the Ohio State school record with 6 passing touchdowns in a game. Once again, Marvin Harrison Jr. has tied the Ohio State school single game record with 3 touchdown catches in a game. It's just, these are records. Like, I'm going to define this for you because it feels like this is something you sort of hear that and you kind of go, yeah, okay. Ohio State has been playing football since, 1890? And you just saw on Saturday the most touchdown passes anyone has ever thrown in an Ohio State game. He's done that 3 times, so it doesn't seem crazy or special anymore. The most in the history. 3 touchdown catches in a game, the most in history. No one has done it 3 times. Marvin Harrison has now done it 3 games with 3 touchdown catches. He started 7 games, Kevin. Almost half of the time he is tying the Ohio State single game touchdown. Almost half of his career starts. Tony asked me this on the post-game show, and I had a very immediate answer. I'm going to ask you, who's the greatest wide receiver in Ohio State history?
Well, we can I don't know. Marvin Harrison Jr. is well on his way to that. You come up with names like Chris Carter and Terry Glenn and guys like that, but what Marvin Harrison Jr. has been able to do in 7 career starts with 3 touchdown receptions, and in 3 of those games. We've come a long way from what Urban Meyer dubbed a clown show, when the leading receivers for Ohio State had 14 receptions on the year. So yeah, we're in a new era, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to that 2000, was it 11, the game at Illinois where they completed one pass all game. One was like 1 for 4 for 17 yards and a touchdown, and yeah, they're exceeding that now by a little bit. And the wild thing is they're doing this without the guy who I think everyone sort of came into the year. Most people came into the year thinking that by far the best wide receiver they have, and Jaxon Smith-Njigba once again didn't play this week. He is expected to be back for the Iowa game. That is, we have been talking about that for a while. Pete Thamel reported it that that he was being directly told that was the case, and Miyan Williams probably going to be back for that Iowa game as well. But without without Miyan Williams, who was had 189 yards rushing last week, without Jaxon Smith-Njigba, who rewrote the Ohio State record book last year, they just march down the field and just touchdown, and you don't even notice. These are like really significant key players, and you barely notice that they're not there.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to something that we've talked about before, that Ryan Day talked about in Jaxon plays, and drawing up in the offseason all these Jaxon plays, and he hasn't been able to use them. And we knew Ohio State had depth. We knew Ohio State had a lot of number one wide receivers. It wasn't a case of where it was like, okay, there was this clearly defined, you're a 1 and everybody else is kind of 2 or 3. So they're going to be even that much more dangerous when Jaxon Smith-Njigba does get back out there. And what Emeka Egbuka is able to do. What Marvin Harrison Jr. is able to do. Continue. I mean, somebody that I've not heard anybody mention the name of today, and they threw to him, and they didn't really need to, is Cade Stover. When they have that whole thing going, nobody is going to want to see them in the college football playoff. If Ohio State continues doing what it's doing, and there's still a lot of football left to be played, so I'm not putting them in there yet, but nobody's going to want to face this offense.
Well, and I think we need to probably have the elephant in the room conversation, which is who's the best team they've played this year? Like who is a team that you feel even remotely confident saying this is a good team. This is, I'm not even asking for great. I'm saying like this is a better than average team. This is a B. Like grade them out as a B. Who is the team that you were the most confident in? Because coming into the year, you thought, oh, maybe Michigan State. Like this is Michigan State's 4th loss in a row. This ain't it. Wisconsin, you came in thinking this is going to be one of the toughest games. They just fired their coach. That's a sign that.
But they beat Northwestern 42-7.
Yeah, so Northwestern. That's another one that I don't think we're going to learn a whole lot from. If you're firing your coach, you are not having a real good time.
No.
And Notre Dame lost to Marshall the week after they played Ohio State. I mean, I feel like they are doing to all of the teams they play right now exactly what a very, very, very good team should do to teams that are not very, very good. But is there a part of you that wonders what this is going to look like the first time they do get challenged?
Well, Desmond, since on college game day on Saturday, Desmond decided to take a flamethrower to Ohio State's schedule, which is fine and well, but he was not willing to do that to Michigan's, and Michigan's strength of schedule is in the toilet bowl. So, yeah, they really have not played anybody that I would give even a B- to. I mean, they've played some average teams, they played some below average teams. They played some teams that have Fs. I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, you're going to wonder what that's going to be. I mean, Ohio State passed its first road test, and Michigan State has, they have 3 more coming up over the next several weeks. So you've got that going on. We're really not going to know anything about them until Penn State, and just the way that the Big Ten giveth and the Big Ten taketh away. Expect Penn State to lose 1 or 2 before then, because the Big Ten just can't have nice things.
That sounds about right. Someone that did have some nice things today was Mike Hall. He played, I think Tony said 10 snaps which is not very many, and had 2.5 sacks on the game. Mike Hall, he's another one of those guys who he's missed a couple games throughout the course of the year, and he just was someone who he just came, he played very sparingly. He's an interior defensive lineman, which you think of as like the run plugger guy. They use him as a situational pass rusher, which is, I think, a testament to exactly how quick he is and how disruptive he can be on the interior of that offensive line, to the interior of that offensive line. Michigan State quarterback Peyton Thorne was asked about, the question was essentially like, yeah, that didn't look like a lot of fun. You were kind of under fire all game, huh? And, he was very diplomatic about it and talked about how he needed to get the ball out, but, ended up kind of coming around to like, yeah, I was kind of under fire the whole game. You add Mike Hall in on the defense. And again, this is not a tremendous offense that they're facing or anything, but you're adding another piece. You got the guys in the secondary back. You're getting Mike Hall back in these sort of situational roles. It's just, you wonder how good this team could be if you really had kind of close to a full roster.
Right, exactly. I mean, with Mike Hall, I've never seen somebody like that just shoot the gap the way that he does, the way that he's got the strength to be able to shed. He's got, he's able to get skinny, to get through. I mean, it's just really amazing. And will we see a game this season where Ohio State will have its full complement? I mean, and obviously there have already been players that have been lost for the season. They lost, Evan Pryor, Mitchell Melton, guys that probably were not in line to be huge contributors here this year, but certainly, some of the depth that you want and need. And, you don't want to wish injury upon anybody. But with what they have there, I mean, it's really scary. I mean, it's really scary. I mean, each week we're learning a little bit more about the defense, but sometimes we learn 2 things and we have 3 more questions. So, it's going to be a work in progress. And, I have a feeling here in a couple weeks we'll be sitting in Ohio Stadium talking about the Iowa game. And when that putrid Iowa offense comes in there and Ohio State shuts them out, we can anoint them. Oh, they've arrived. I don't know what it's going to be arriven. It's late, and we still have to. And we still had a late night driving back from East Lansing.
That was Kevin telling me it was time to wrap it up. So guess what? I guess it's time to wrap it up.
Say goodbye, Kevin. Goodbye, Kevin.
I hope you guys enjoyed. If you were part of our post-game coverage, those are always a lot of fun, those post-game shows. So we enjoy having you guys there for that. That's at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Those are a lot of fun. And if you have not been on for any of those, make sure you check one of those out.
Shame on you.
But also, don't shame the people. Also, in addition to those post-game shows, you can also find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Kevin and Tony and I cover the team there. Mark Givler, Alex Gleitman absolutely kill it on the recruiting side of things. And we have a 3-headed monster covering X's and O's. We've got Devin Radcliffe, we've got Justin Whitlatch, and of course the great Ross Fulton. It is just a fantastic team covering Ohio State football from every angle, and a lot of really good fun community there as well. On the Huddle board. So sign up today, become a member, and it's less than 50 cents a day, which, I mean, I'm sorry, like, if you're watching this team and you're not thinking, hey, this feels like this might be a sort of a memorable season, like, I don't know what to tell you. This feels like this might be a somewhat memorable season. So sign up today at BuckeyeHuddle.com and experience it. Enjoy it with us. Get all the insight and analysis that you need, and that community that is really a lot of fun to be a part of. So that's at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.